Welcome to Best Life Ever, the podcast with your hosts, time and energy coaches, Kimi and Pua. Here at Best Life Ever, we are on a mission to expand the way people think, work, and live in today's modern world. And today we are going to be talking about theming your work days as a way to boost productivity. But first, we have an iTunes review of the week.
Yeah! We get so excited for iTunes reviews. So today's review comes from someone named BJJ Kimmy. I'm sure Kimmy likes your name.
Yeah, I didn't write this, guys.
It's just coincidence that this person also does jujitsu and is a girl who lives in Honolulu. But it's not Kimmy. So Kimmy from BJJ Kimmy iTunes review writes, I just happened to subscribe to this podcast because I heard that these girls were fellow female jiu-jitsu practitioners in my city. After one podcast, I'm addicted. I love their positive energy and concrete ideas that I can put into action immediately in my everyday life. They are real and highly relatable. Thank you for brightening my day as I drive to pick up my daughter from preschool. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
So thank you so much for your review. It means so much to us. And we're super excited. You are the first winner of one of our brand new unicorn charms. We're going to go ahead and get that to you. So Kimmy, if you can shoot us an email at aloha@kimmyandpua.com, we will get that over to you. Maybe you can meet us for a roll.
Yeah. Yes, these unicorn charms are so adorable. They were made for us by Jamie from the Bead Gallery and her crew. And the Bead Gallery is such a special place. And Jamie describes it as a place where creativity and community unite. And their mission is to raise the vibration of this planet one bead at a time, one person at a time. And we got to experience some of that magic, and we encourage you to do the same. Go check them out at thebeadgallery.com.
Awesome. Yeah, it was such a cool place to be. And Jamie was so patient and walked us through creating mala necklaces. And you can watch us create almost the whole thing on Facebook Live. Go check out our Facebook. It's really hilarious. But we made these, they ended up being really beautiful despite our lack of beading skills. And we're really, really excited to give them away. And the way we are doing that is at an event that we're hosting on July 29th. That's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so what this event is Kimmy and I are hosting a time and energy mastery workshop. And it's going to be at a brand new co-working space in Kaka'ako called Cowork, Kouwork. And this space is actually set to open in August, but they had a kind of a preview party a couple weeks ago. It is an amazing space. If you guys want to check it out, get a little preview, come on into our event. Let us know. We have a couple of seats left. No, not a couple. We have a few seats left. So go ahead and just email us, aloha@kimmyandpua.com if you're interested. We did send some invites out via Hobnob, and if you got a Hobnob invite and you haven't responded yet, please kindly do so at your earliest convenience. We're trying to get a good head count so we know how much magical things to bring for you guys.
Yes.
But yeah, you guys can win these mala necklaces there. We also are so honored to have Skylar Soares with us that day. Skylar is the founder and CEO of High Sky. She created a local business, and they create these beautiful hats. If you don't know about High Sky, just Google them real quick. Amazing girl, amazing company. And we're going to have her there sharing her story and giving away some hats as well. So it's going to be an epic day. Make sure you guys are there.
Yes, Saturday. Can't wait. Really looking forward to it. Okay, so let's dive into our episode. And I'm really excited about this subject. And it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately as I've been really working on my schedule lately and just kind of finding a schedule that I love. And this is something that we work with clients on all the time. And so what does it mean to theme out your days? Basically, this is a strategy, a productivity strategy that you decide on a focus for you categorize each day based on some type of focus, whether it be the type of work that you're doing, specific items or tasks that you're taking care of that day. And a lot of productivity experts talk about this as a really great strategy for managing your time and your attention.
Awesome. Yeah, this is something that's really shifted the way that we work. And it is it's a very small adjustment, right? You're not actually adding or taking anything away from your life or your work. You're just changing what you call each day. And yet it can be like monumental in creating more time and energy to do the things that you love and the things that really matter to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Twitter founder Jack Dorsey is a really big fan of this. I've heard Mike Vardy of the Productivity Podcast talk about it. And it's not only is it a great strategy for prioritizing some of the work that we sometimes neglect, but it also will, yes, increase our focus. And it's so fun too. And we're going to talk a little bit about the fun aspect of it as well.
It's super fun. But first we have to make you feel a little bit sad. So we're going to talk about challenges. Just kidding. But it makes it relatable, right? So some of the challenges that this can tackle is just straight up overwhelm, right? Like, especially the people who, I mean, anybody who's overwhelmed, this can help. But what I found really interesting was that even the people who are absolutely in love with everything that they do in all parts of their life, and they love their job, they love their family, love their kids, like everything, they love it all, we still get overwhelmed sometimes, no matter what. And this has been a really cool way to hack that, because a lot of times when we're really inspired, we're really aligned, we have big visions, big goals, we have all these things to do, but we don't know what to do. We don't know where to start. We don't know what to work on. So theming your days and getting really clear about what you're doing when can totally alleviate this overwhelm. And we'll go into all the other great things, but what other challenges does this tackle?
Yeah, well, I think for sure distraction, and in this modern day and age, there are so many distractions out there, and those they're not always bad things, right? They, as you said, they're things that we're like squirrel, 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 all the things that we love to do, and so our brains are getting more and more squirrely, I think, as either as there's more distractions or as we become more inspired, even sometimes, and so it can certainly help us when we're having trouble focusing. But this is a really huge one. I think that one of the biggest challenges is letting other people's priorities and schedules run you. And, other people's agendas, other people's ideas, other people's, priorities tend to impact our workflow and our schedules, and our time and our energy. So this is something we work with clients all the time on, is owning your schedule, right? That's a big piece of our workshop training that we do. How do you own your schedule? And theming your days is a really great strategy for setting some boundaries and being able to say no with confidence, because you have these themes and intention in place that protects your schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a kind of a common, I don't want to say it's like a virus, but this is something that has kind of infected our society because of technology, right? Like, we are often inundated with notifications of other people's priorities, and it's not our fault. We've kind of slid into this lifestyle where, we get an email and your phone beeps and you get this little red number and you get a text message, and people want to schedule with you, and it's just so much. And while we can't change the way that we live, or the world that we live in, we can change the way that we manage all of these things. And very similar to email, right? Like, set your boundaries on your email. My God, like, don't leave it open all day. We have a whole class on this, but same with scheduling. If you let other people's priorities encroach on your time, you'll end up with no time at all. So, as Kimi said, allowing yourself to, get really clear about the way that you're going to spend your time. And if someone wants to schedule with you, great. Send them your calendar on meeting day. If they want to meet with you on Friday and meeting day is on Wednesday, too bad. They'll have to make it work, right? And it's not you're not doing anything wrong. Like, don't worry about hurting people's feelings or losing a client. Kimi and I just finished this great book called The Prosperous Coach, and they talk about there's a girl, and she was creating her schedule so that she could spend Fridays with her son, I believe is the story. And some big, huge Fortune 500 company approached her and wanted her to do consulting work for them, but they wanted her to work on Fridays. And so she called her coach and she was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I turned it down. You told me to be firm, and I don't know what I just did. I lost all this money. And it turns out, because she was so clear about that, she got the Fridays with her son, but they also called her the next day to agree to her terms. So this is really about you, as Kimi said, taking ownership of your schedule and really being firm and clear about it and not backing down.
I love that. I love how you said we can't change the world that we live in, but that we can change the way that we live in the world, essentially. And that is it's so true. And I love that story. And I love that book. Oh my God. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. Yeah. So, and then just finally, and we'll speak to this when we kind of talk about the fun of theming your days, because sometimes a productivity challenge is simply that we are feeling uninspired or that we have lack of clarity, and theming your days can certainly help with that. So yeah, let's dig into how this magical strategy can help us.
For sure. So if you have gone to any of our trainings at all, I feel like we talk about this in almost every class that we teach or workshop, but we talk a lot about decision fatigue. And this essentially is the idea that the more decisions you make, it's not an idea, actually, it's proven. So the more ideas you make throughout the day, the more fatigued you are, right? Like you make lower quality decisions later in the day. It's kind of like an actual muscle that you fatigue. So think about picking up like a soup can and just standing there and doing bicep curls. You could probably do an hour's worth of bicep curls with no problem with a soup can because it's like a pound or two. But after an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, it starts to feel heavier. 3 hours, it's like, oh my God, more soup is coming in the can or something because it's getting heavy, right? You're fatiguing that muscle, and your bicep curls, you're doing maybe half as many as you could do 3 hours ago. And your form might be getting bad, right? So it's kind of the same idea with decision fatigue. If you make all of these kind of unnecessary decisions in the morning, and then all of a sudden you have a big meeting later, you may not make a decision that you're happy with. Or it might take more energy to make a good decision. So the more decisions that you can avoid making by hooking up your future self, or which I guess is what this is, right? We're hooking up our future self by theming our days. You're really clear about exactly what you're going to do that day and about what you're not going to do that day, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time you ask yourself, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? That's a decision you're having to make in that moment. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think too, another thing that we talk about in all of our training really is creating time in the sweet spot, right? So doing things that are important, but there's no urgency behind them. And so some of the tasks that fall into this category are, what are things that are important, but they're not urgent. It's like a lot of times for us, it's whatever your unique brilliance is. It's for us, it's writing, it's podcast creation. It's the stuff that, it's weekly planning for us too. It's the stuff that only we can do. I guess there is some urgency to podcast recording, but, but it's the things that are important that sometimes get neglected, right? And so what this does is it schedules in focused time for these important tasks, where there often isn't enough urgency for us to prioritize them. And so by theming our days, we can kind of create almost like a false sense of urgency, or at least get it scheduled, because we tend to honor things in our schedule more than we honor things that are just sort of running around loose in our brains.
For sure. It also helps to create, as Kimi said, focus, right? So if you know that today I am doing podcast recording, right? Or, podcast everything, record, edit the podcast, create the email, all of the things are happening on this day, then I feel really good about this day. And I also feel good that I'm not writing a blog, or I'm not, doing bookkeeping, or I'm not going out in the community, because that's not for today, right? So not only are you able to create focus, I'm combining the two, sorry. You can create that focus so that you know exactly what to work on. Especially, if you find yourself like, okay, I got to go on Facebook and look up this review that someone left me, and then all of a sudden you've been on Facebook for 45 minutes and you don't know how. It's a great way to be like, what was I doing? You know exactly what you were doing because it's podcast day, right? So you allow that focused time and focused work to bring you back into alignment and to get really clear about what you're doing, but you're also alleviating any of the guilt that you feel about not doing something that day. So if you do weekly planning and you're like, okay, this week I need to reach out to 10 people, write a blog, write a chapter in my book, create a podcast, and do my taxes, and then you don't have any plan for how to get these things done, you're going to feel so overwhelmed. And even though you're working hard on your podcast, you're going to feel guilty because you didn't do anything for your taxes today, right? So it's allowing yourself to just kind of be easy on yourself and trust that you have scheduled time for the other things, but that's not today.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm excited. This, just thinking and talking about this subject, it is like, it's getting me re-inspired and like reinvigorated to really bring back more theming to my own schedule. And so let's talk a little bit about how to do it and some of the different ideas that are out there. And, I know some people might be feeling like, oh, it's overwhelming. Like I can't dedicate a whole day to this or that with the schedule that we have. But, you can also apply this to chunks of time too, right? So maybe a whole day isn't dedicated to it, but you know that on this particular day, you at least dedicate an hour to this task. First thing you would want to do is to really just identify first what are the things that you do on a regular basis, and take out a pen and paper right now, pause this if you need to, and just brain dump some of your recurring activities, some of the things that you would like to make sure that you're making time for each week. And this could be, project based. It could be, as Pua said, your taxes, reviewing your finances. Maybe they're not things that you do every single week, but maybe once a month too. And what are some of those sweet spot activities? So whether it be writing, brainstorming, creative work, and then we'll give you some other ideas too, but take some time right now and just see what comes up for you first.
Yeah. And if you manage a team, or even if you are a member of a team, maybe show this podcast episode to your boss, or, present some of these ideas to your team and ask your team to start brainstorming theme days. Because I think this could really help to streamline the way that organizations work. Think about, you have a team of 5, right? And you have this big project you're working on, and everybody has their things. And you may have a task management or a project management system, or you may not. And it's up to you, the communication of your team, to kind of let everybody know where they are when, right? And if you don't trust the system that you have in place, that could mean a lot of unnecessary checking in. It could mean a lot of trust issues that don't need to be there, right? Because if you know that today is the day that we're reaching out to people for, like, today's the day we're finding a venue. It's not the day that you're ordering chairs and tables, right? So then you don't need to worry if Samantha's over there ordering her chairs and tables, because it's not the day for that yet. And I know that's like a really specific example, but it's just, whatever that means for your organization, getting everybody on the same page can really help to make whatever you're working on really, really cohesive.
Love that. So some other ideas. We read this article about a librarian that used a strength assessment test to theme her days, which I thought was a really interesting way to do this. So she took her strengths based on this particular assessment test that she did, quiz, and so then she defined for herself achiever days, where she focused on teaching and planning, and then she had days that were connecting days, keeping this strength of hers, empathy, in mind. And then she had learning and input days, because that was another one of her highest values. And then she had another day that was based on intellect, so focusing on reflection and writing tasks. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's really just a matter of identifying, it's going to be very specific to what you're focused on, and perhaps just the season of your life as well, what you're focused on at any particular season.
Yeah, this definitely depends on whatever you do as an individual, however you want to spend your time, spend your days. But it is a really great way to get clear about what exactly is important to you, right? What do you need to create time and space for that you haven't been creating time and space for recently? And some ideas are creating days for focus, focused work, or what's the one thing, right? What is that thing that you are focusing on right now to bring your business forward? So this one thing could change in 2 weeks. For us right now, it's that event. That's on our weekly planning as our one thing that we're focusing on. When the event's over, it'll change, right? You can also create buffer days. So in these days, you can catch up on anything that kind of fell behind as you were focusing on other things. Or it can be some low-level tasks that you don't have to create a whole day for email, right? You can do a couple hours. So, email, phone calls, meetings, any kind of paperwork. So oftentimes we'll do these things in the afternoon. So at least for me, if I have theme days, I like to spend the morning on the theme and the afternoon on the catch up. So again, just work with your personality, your peak times, and do what works for you, and experiment.
Yes, I love that. Experiment is so important. And I think that we share that a lot with people. It's like, have fun with this. Don't feel that it has to be a perfect science, because that can get us kind of stuck in our heads instead of just experiment, have fun with it. I think that the value, for me, that deep work time is something that is so it takes effort to create it in our lives in this day and age. And so having deep work days is so vital to move forward on things that matter for us. So figuring out what day you can really block out some focused time. And we'll talk a little bit more about implementation, but I think deep work days are a really great thing to start when you begin this experiment. And I think also self-care days. And that is something, again, that we tend to neglect. And so picking a day where, okay, that's the day that we schedule our self-care, schedule our unplugging time. And then, family time too is another thing that you can create. Ryan Charaba, who we had on the podcast, has specific days that he spends time with his daughter. And those are just, he protects that time, with everything, that's such sacred time to him. And he just knows, right? No decision that needs to be made there. That's his time with his daughter. So everything else gets scheduled around that.
For sure. Sorry, there was a huge plane that just flew over my house. Actually, I don't know how big it was, but it was loud. Awesome. Okay. So you're like, this sounds really exciting, but how the heck do I do this? Good question. We're going to answer it. Implementation strategies is next. So that is something that we come across a lot, right? These are all great strategies. We're really excited. Awesome. Workshop's over. Go back to your home desk. And all of a sudden, all of the things are happening again and you don't know where to start. So the first thing we want to tell you is to start slow. Okay. You don't have to do all the things all at once. Just start with one theme day, or one theme hour even, whatever that means for you, to just dip your toe in the water and see if it works. And when things work well for us, when we've become inspired by a new strategy, oftentimes that little toe in the water is all we need to either know like, okay, really works for me. I'm excited. Let's keep going. Or, I don't know about this. Maybe not right now. So if it feels like you're forcing it, just listen to your intuition. Okay. But something a little bit more concrete, if you're looking for that, is to start with some reminders on your calendar for your theme days. So we always say that, we're more likely to honor what we schedule in our calendar. So scheduling in our theme days, Google Calendar is really, really great at creating notifications, and it syncs really nicely with our iPhones. So anytime I put something in the calendar, I can customize the notification. So sometimes, we used to do this a lot more than we do now. I'm inspired to get back into it. But I used to remind myself throughout the day what the theme was, because I'm the kind of person who gets super distracted. This was really fun, and it worked really well for us because we were working other jobs. So we had very limited pockets of time to get things done for our business. So on the theme day, when I had that chunk of time and my calendar notification went off, boy, I was there. I did not let that time go to waste. So again, schedule it in and start slow.
Yes. And protect that time, right? Protect it like, like it's the most precious thing. And if you have these blocks of time or even these days scheduled out, that would be a really great cue for you then to enter in that zone where you say, okay, this is what I'm focused on right now. So I'm going to turn off my other notifications, right? Let the notification pull you into that deep work or whatever it is that you're working on, and then get everything else sort of quieted down if you can. So do not disturb on your phone, let people know, share with your team what day it is for you, right? That's a great way to kind of use teamwork there. And then you can adjust your to-do list also so that it aligns with your themes. So this is really helpful. If you know that on Wednesday, that's the day that you're going to be doing your deep work, right? That's the day that you tackle things like your finances or reviewing different things, whatever it is for you, then have your to-do list be like you don't look at that to-do list until you get to that day, right? So you have your Monday list, your Tuesday list, your Wednesday list. And then as things come to you, ideas pop up in your head, you know which list to add it to, and you're not worried about anything else. Because a lot of times the overwhelm that we can feel comes from looking or thinking about all the things that we want to do when they're not in the context of when we can do them, right? Mm-hmm. So having everything all piled into one list, it doesn't really help us or serve us. It only adds to that feeling of like, oh my gosh, there is no way I'm going to be able to get everything done that I want to. But there's no sense in worrying about the things that you can't take action on when you're not in a place or a space or the mindset to take action on it.
Oh, that's so true. This is really you guys are going to feel really good about yourselves at the end of this episode.
This is so fun.
It's giving you the permission. Sometimes all we're looking for is permission, right? Like you have permission to not do something today.
Yay.
Right? So awesome. So a really cool implementation strategy is naming your days and using alliteration.
Yay! I was waiting the whole episode to get to this part.
It's so fun. I always think about God, there is a worldwide alliteration that is used every single week on social media by people all over the freaking world. Throwback Thursday. Mm-hmm. That is so fun. And people participate. It's whoever invented this is social media king of the world or queen, right? And it's just like WTF Wednesday, that's when you do all of your miscellaneous stuff. How much more fun is that than miscellaneous or what the F Wednesday, right? Just have fun, guys. Life's too short.
Yeah, alliteration is such a powerful tool, and it's used in language to really help you to laugh, right? To create a mood, but most importantly, to help you to remember, right? We all remember Throwback Thursday, Fun Friday, right? It not only is it extra fun, but it locks it in our brain in a way. And we were reading a little article on alliteration, the appeal of alliteration in preparation for this episode. And the author, she was saying, alliteration is pleasing ear music, which I thought was such a cool way to say it. And she said, okay, say these words out loud. Dunkin' croissants, King Gorilla, Rolls Jaguar. Like what? Like no, right? But Dunkin' Donuts, King Kong, Rolls Royce. Like it just flows, and it can transform something not so fun and exciting into something more exciting. There's something like, I don't know, like thinking about having to do your taxes. It's way more fun to think about like Finance Friday.
Wait, the funniest one is bed, toilet, shower. Bed, toilet, and shower. What company is that? Bed Bath and Beyond. Like what the? That is
bed,
so
toilet,
funny.
shower.
That's so funny, and it's so true. It's like a poem almost, right? Like think about a song that you love and translate the chorus from something that like flows really nicely to another sentence that means the exact same thing, but I don't know, you're like, it just doesn't feel as nice and you don't remember it as well, right?
Right.
I think Jim Quick does similar things with like wordplay, and it's a memory tool. You never forget the Throwback Thursday. But I mean, we really just try to make life as fun as humanly possible. So we are really excited to hear what you're naming your days.
Yes. And I have to share that, so Deep Work Wednesday is something that I've shared, we've shared with clients before. That one is really successful for a lot of people. Focus Friday, Fun Friday, as we said, Family Friday you could do. But the one that I've been doing lately that I think is so hilarious, I shared this with you, Pua, is, get your SHIT together Saturday. So it just so happens that we've had a lot of stuff just happening throughout our, like a more typical work week, and so I've found that Saturdays have been my days where I really just that's the day for me to hook up my future self, get laundry done, all the things. And it's just been really fun. And I've been letting my family know too. I'm like, it's get your SHIT together Saturday. So get it together, guys. And it makes it a little more fun. It also kind of makes it like it's not me, it kind of distances me from being like the dictator of the household. Like I'm like, sorry guys, I just can't help it. It's get your SHIT together Saturday. So that's just what's happening. Like it's not my fault. I'm not the nagging mom making you do this. Right. So, and you don't have to swear at your kids. You could say, get your stuff together Saturday. Right.
It's not me. It's the calendar.
And I have to say, so Tuesdays, Pua, is our day together, right? We love our Tuesdays and we record our podcast. We do our Best Life Ever weekly planning, but I've been so stumped because I can't think of a cute name with alliteration for our Tuesdays. And first of all, I want to share with everybody, please don't let that stop you. It's not that important. It's fun, but don't let the lack of name prevent you from doing the work. But maybe you guys could share with us your suggestions for our magical Tuesdays together with alliteration.
I think we do have that. It's just no one talks about it.
Yeah.
It's a TMI Tuesday.
Oh.
I always talking me a little something.
That is true. It is always TMI Tuesday. Yep, you're right. But
then it's always TMI Thursday and TMI Wednesday and
TMI Monday.
Friday. Yeah. It's just fun.
I think it's we're a TMI team.
Yeah, there you go. Good one.
Well, let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear what your days are. Help us name our Tuesdays and, join us in the tribe, BLE Best Life Ever Tribe on Facebook to continue the conversation. It's a magical place right there.
Yes. And we, of course, are going to tell you again about one of our favorite things in the world, BLE FIX, which is our monthly subscription. And we are having so much fun in the FIX. Our FIX family is growing exponentially, and we just would love to have you there. So reach out to us if you have any questions about that. But basically, it's a monthly subscription where you get live weekly calls with us. every week is themed, but we intend for this to be totally interactive. So we have a private Facebook group where you can reach out, you can ask questions of us and of the group, and we'll talk about whatever is on your mind. So if you can jump on the live calls, they're Wednesday mornings, and that's also really fun to have some engagement on the calls. So this is for you. So definitely jump on. We are offering $20 a month as an introductory rate, but we will be changing those rates fairly soon. So get yourself locked into those rates. And again, if you have any questions at all, just let us know.
All right, guys, have a wonderful week. We will talk with you soon.
Bye.